This is CS Flex 2420, the Data Structures class, and today we're going to be doing a walkthrough video of the O3 learning activity. We're going to be creating a linked lists class. So download this linked list tester file and create a project, and then add a linked list.h file, and then follow along with this video as we code this linked list to get it to work. Now I've got the functions listed that we're going to implement, so I'm going to copy those so that way I can use them as my function prototypes. So here I have my linked list tester file already there, and I've added a linked list h file, and it's a pretty basic file at this point. We're going to get it just our class set up, and then we'll see what we can go. I'm going to paste these functions that I just copied into my linked list class. That way I have the definitions for them all set for me. We're also going to add a structure that we're going to use for each of the elements in our class. Every single item in a linked list is considered a node, and a node has all of the pieces of information. It has the piece of data that we're going to store, but it also has a pointer to the next node. And I cannot spell struct and talk at the same time. struct. There we go. So we're going to use a struct to do this, and a struct has a semicolon at the end. We also want this to be a templated class, so I'm going to use a template for my struct. I am also going to use the template for my class. Okay, and as we were talking about, my type, I used it as type. That is going to be the type of data that I'm going to be storing. And not only do I need the type of data, I need a pointer to the next node in my list. So I'm just going to call that next. Okay, now if we look down here, we have this extraction operator that we're going to code. That means we need to define that. In order to define that, I have to define it above my class and below my class at the same time. So in order to fix that problem, I'm going to put in my class linked list. That way it's been defined. And then I'm going to put in that template again, and I'm going to copy this stream operator. That way I can define it before I actually use it. Now when we use it in our class, it is considered a friend function. It's not necessarily part of the class, but I need to be able to have the private variables when I use the extraction operator, so I make it a friend. And in the definition, we're going to put a greater than, less than here. That way it knows that this is just the definition for this friend function, which I've defined up here, and then I'm going to implement later on. Okay, so now I'm going to add a couple of protected variables, and I'm doing protected variables. That way in the next assignment you can inherit this linked list class to do your fifth element assignment. Okay, it's really helpful to have a pointer to the first node in my list and a pointer to the last node in my list. So that's what I'm going to put as my private variables. I'm going to put a pointer to the front of the list, and I'm also going to do a pointer to the back of the list. And then I'm just going to have a little int to keep track of how many elements are in the list. So at this point we have our class all set up, and catch us in the next video and we will implement the constructor and destructor for this particular class.